do this. We need to build a farm. We need to start sourcing U.S. ingredients. Where are the U.S. farms? And
why did you start using those microgreens?
I wonder if we grow these microgreens. I actually hired a local farmer, and so he would actually start growing the microgreens for us, dry them, and then bring them to the lab. And so our first batches came out are onto something. We need to keep going, but it's very expensive when you're purchasing from farms. So, we built our greenhouse.
What sort of advice, both from a business standpoint, but also in how well you've woven purpose and woven your concerns about?
First of all, I would say listen to no one around you. I mean, the reason that your parents aren't doing the entrepreneuring is because they're not entrepreneurs. So don't get advice there. Reach out to companies like me, find mentors, go to teachers.
Hi, and welcome to the Sustainable C-Suite, a conversation series produced by EarthX that brings together leaders who share how business and innovation are helping to drive progress on environmental issues. My name is Peter Simic, and I'm the CEO of EarthX, and today I'm joined with Shannon McLinden. Shannon is the founder and CEO of FarmHouse Fresh, a Texas-based clean beauty company she built from the ground up, quite literally, on a hilltop ranch in McKinney, Texas. What started with a single product that landed in Oprah's magazine has grown into a globally recognized skincare brand carried by thousands of spas, hotels, and resorts. But Shannon's story isn't just about beautiful skincare, it's also about doing business differently. FarmHouse Fresh uses hydroponic and aquaponic growing techniques alongside organic agriculture to cultivate ingredients. She prioritizes partnerships with local and regional family farms specifically to reduce the brand's carbon footprint. And the company's headquarters, located on a farm north of Dallas, also serves as a sanctuary for neglected and abused animals. So Shannon, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And to start, we're going to talk about all the amazing elements of your business and how it intersects with sustainability or awareness of climate and the environment and work with animals. But I wanted to start by asking you about a story you told me a couple of days ago when we were talking on the phone about when you were in school, you started to have that entrepreneurial bug and you were beginning to do crafts and bringing them to school and creating little businesses just with your classmates at school. Was that always sort of a part of your interest and your inclination?
Yes, it always was. I had a great aunt who taught me how to crochet. And so I would crochet the tops of towel holders. We would actually go buy towels, cut them off, crochet the entire top with a little button. And then my mom would go with me and we'd sell them door to door in the neighborhood. And anyone who had a special request, if they wanted, can I have one with a chicken? I'd be like, I get to go shop and find something with a chicken and then, match it and crochet it. So that was where I started. And then I did puffy paints on shoes. I used to write LL Cool J songs in puffy paint going up. Like really, I can recite all his songs. And I would put them on vases and I would sell those. And girls in my school would come over and I would do little designs of like island scenes using a toothpick and nail polish on people's nails. And today that's like a really big trend. I'd probably be really, really famous with that. But I loved making things that made people smile, and it never ended for me. Like I went into high school and did the same thing. And it's funny, I'm doing a telethon in the next week where I'm sleeping in a barn to raise awareness for horses. But I was doing that in high school. I mean, it was something I wanted to help a family that was living out of a car. And so my brain is always like, how can I fix things? How can I make things? I feel like an inventor. And so school always bored me to death. I really wasn't super great at anything. My brother was very book smart, but me, on the other hand, it was like, hold on, let me try to make something. Let me do that. I can do it. And the world doesn't move fast enough for my ideas. It's a machine that I can't turn off. And so my team actually has to kind of filter through everything.
Slow down.
And and help me like pick the ones that are going to be the biggest hit.
Well, as soon as you walked into that, I'm sure everyone was like, there's an LL Cool J fan, if I ever saw one.
I knew it. I knew it. When I'm alone in my room, sometimes I stare at the wall.
But, you mentioned the animals, and I wanted, I love the way that you've sort of evolved your business to be working with animals. But I know there are statistics out there that show that if young people have any connection to nature from an early age, it increases exponentially their awareness and their sensitivity and their concern for the environment, for nature.
Absolutely.
So did you grow up around animals? Was that something that was sort of part of your life?
I did, in that I brought them into the home. So like raccoons.
I can hear your parents already.
Already, yeah. Raccoons and birds and bunnies. And, there was a lot of screaming. Oh my God, get that kind of thing. But I loved animals. I loved animals everywhere I went. And so it's just so funny. I feel like everybody, if you look back at the time you were 8 to 9 to 10, it's probably, you can all find those same threads in your life of things that you loved. And for me, it was this kind of strange dichotomy of making things. I even had a Barbie playset. I don't know if anybody can remember this, but you can make your own perfume. So I was doing that on the carpet. So I would, like mix and match and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was born in me, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I'm getting the sense that these inclinations were there, but was it a direct line? Did you always think, okay, these are good, this could be a way to develop a business? Or how did you eventually, and it was right up, not too long after school, right, that you began after graduating from university?
I went to TCU for my undergrad, and then for my master's degree. I was in the 3-2 program there. But while I was there, of course, I'm still inventing. So, I had written a book for teen girls about growing up and overcoming, feeling like you're unattractive or overweight and that kind of thing. And so I started speaking in schools. So while I was at TCU, I would travel out to high schools around the country and I would speak and bring my book with me. And then I started working on a laptop and designing websites. And I had to go to like golf classics in Texas. Here it gets so hot and sticky. So I hated wearing open toe shoes because you would just like squish and squish in the grass on these golf courses. So I designed a peel and stick liner for shoes, and it's basically a medical device called summer soles. And they peel and stick into sandals and allow people that have hyperhidrosis to comfortably wear sandals if they perspire too much. And so that just kind of kept leading to one more thing. Our customers called and said, "Do you have anything else to add to the basket?" Because the insoles, I think, were like $5 each, something like $5 or $7 each, and so I had been jogging, and I had already concocted this foot polish that would keep my heels from cracking. If anyone is a runner, you'll know you'll go from hot to cold and you'll get cracked heels. And so I developed this foot polish, and I was like, you know what? Oprah would love this. And I grew up watching her, when my friends were all, like watching MTV, I was watching Oprah. And I was like, I'm going to bottle this up and I'm just going to mail it. I mean, I did not know what I was doing, but I went ahead and mailed, I think, to 8 different editors at Oprah magazine. And yeah, I got selected for her list. It changed everything. I literally owe everything. That whole trajectory just changed everything for me.
Well, I want to come back to the evolvement into sort of being sensitive about your ingredients and how you
Yeah.
begin. But that to me, that moment, I mean, that could either make or break a company, right? Because you're
Sure.
getting a huge sudden attention, and
Yep.
and you have to figure out how to scale quickly.
Yeah.
And what was that process like?
It's overwhelming. I'm introvert. And so for me, the hardest challenge wasn't so much thinking through the business end of it. It was more answering the telephone. The first call that came in was from a resort, and she wanted to buy a gallon. And I was like, I don't even, why would you need a gallon? And she said, well, we're a spa and we use that for back bar. So that was really interesting to me because then I had to figure that out. I was like on the phone calling people, well, what do spas need? What do they buy? How do they price that? How can I like solve a problem? And so I looked up and there was a show in Arlington, and I went and I walked the floor, and every brand in there was from a different country. And I was like, this is so strange. Like, we're in America. Where's a farm? Where's a brand that is carrying US ingredients? And there weren't any. And they were all also not my cup of tea, which is, we've got a lot of brands on the floor that carry lavender, like that kind of thing. Not that there's anything against lavender, but I was like, you know what we could do at a Hard Rock Cafe? We could take my scrub. We could find a local, liquor company that's like distilling whiskey and like throw it in there and do gentlemen's hot whiskey scour facials. We could take so it became this like invention process, and like, oh my God, delivering that to resorts and pitching it. I mean, it's like quintessential creationism. And I just was hooked. That was it. I was like, you know what? We need to do this. We need to build a farm. We need to start sourcing U.S. ingredients. Where are the U.S. farms? And so that's where it started.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's interesting because I don't think many people would make that same jump. Well, I'm looking for the
Really?
ingredients. I need a farm of my own.
Oh.
Um, but that was like core to your sensibility. And I think often when we talk to people that are, especially in the consumer products space, there's this balance between wanting to use certain products and wanting to use certain processes because there's a good element. You're reducing your footprint of your supply chain. You are using natural ingredients, and then part of it is that does create some value around how you're marketing and telling the story of your brand. How did those two? Or are there other considerations? And what was the sort of the value of leaning really heavily into growing your own ingredients or sourcing them from local farms or some
Yeah.
of these other
I
pieces?
mean, mainly it was knowing that there was a hole in the marketplace. And when Oprah had stated, that my scrub smelled so good, she wanted to serve it over toast. It was something like that, with berries over toast. There was just nothing there like that. And I loved like vanillas and all these rich scents. Yeah, it's funny because my husband is here, Hani, and like I really credit to him to helping the vision come to life, because I had been driving around one weekend, and it was in an area about 30 miles north of where we are right now. I was still working out of the house. Like, mind you, we were doing, I think in my year 4, we were doing like $4 million in sales with 4 people. And it was astounding. I mean, we just grew so fast. And I needed to have a place of business. And I found this like trucking company up on a hill, and it was surrounded by all these animals. And I brought my husband out there, and I was like, that is it. That would be the dream for me. That would be the end game. And he was like, well, that's not where you end. That's where you start. And I mean, it just brings tears to my eyes. I am not a finance person. And so for me, it was like, really, we could start there. And so that took us on the path of finding land that is called ETJ. It allows us to have extraterritorial jurisdiction, no zoning. So I live on a property. It's literally Disneyland. We built a custom, headquarters with 35-foot glass ceilings, surrounded by animals that we rescue every day. We look out the field and we see donkeys and horses, and we're taking care of them. We have a spa upstairs. We have a retail store outside. We built our commercial grow house. We started growing the, hydroponic microgreens like you talked about. Now we're certified organic. And so it started with knowing like all of that is possible, and we can do it today. And we can create this beautiful facility where thousands of people from now today all around the world fly in to come visit and tour and hug the animals that they can track their batch to meet. It's really beautiful, I have to say. It's like I feel like I am already living in heaven, but I still have another 1,000 ideas, and it just keeps coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it? Yeah. Tell us about what some of those things you grow, how that works into the
Yeah.
process,
Oh,
like
I'd
what the
love to.
products are like in terms of, and yeah, what the response was and what you hear from customers about what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Yeah, so early on, it's funny because we started rescuing animals, and we built this gigantic 8-foot cow topiary, and we handmade every petal, every leaf, these beautiful flowers on it. We would travel with it to trade shows, where of course everybody in our industry is so kind and wonderful and very sustainable. And so everybody typically has missions that are environmentally focused, and they were like, why is there a cow in your booth? It's gorgeous. Can I take my picture with it? But why is there a cow in the booth? And so, this idea of tracking your batch code to a cow, or to the animal that we were rescuing, we really had to kind of not train people, but like find our tribe. And it took many years for them to realize that we can make complexions glow and change someone's life, and then we can pay that forward and save animals. So that was the hardest part. I think the easiest part is we grow our own ingredients. I mean, I had read an article on microgreens, and these are the first 7 to 10 day sprouts of an herb. And we actually put them in trays, and like that uses very little water and no pesticides, and it grows in a like a temperature controlled glass greenhouse. So we're harvesting constantly. It's literally every day. We have half of it being harvested and half getting planted. And then we take those herbs, they get dried, and we bring it to a pharmaceutical lab, which is about 30 minutes from us. So we literally courier this to the lab. That lab puts it into a machine. It's like Willy Wonka, and smoke comes out, and out drips this beautiful essence of a plant. And it's so rich and so potent, it has an immediate effect on skin. And that wasn't something that I knew would happen right away, but it was something we saw happen right away. I
Well,
mean,
so take me through that because
mhm.
why did you start using those microgreens? And how do
Oh,
you,
it's so
what's that
cool.
invention process like?
Oh
Were
my
you, do
God.
you have like a, I wonder what would happen if I grew some microgreens with them in a Willy
Yes.
Wonka factory?
Yeah. I wonder if we grow these microgreens. I actually hired a local farmer. So Jeff from Profound Foods, he's amazing. And so he would actually start growing the microgreens for us. And then we would dry them and then bring them to the lab. And so our first batches came out and those first product formulas came out. And the response was so overwhelming. I mean, people were like, oh my God, I can't live without this. And we would sell out. And so I thought, my gosh, we are onto something. We need to keep going. But it's very expensive when you're purchasing from farms. So, yeah, we built our greenhouse. It was just, it's built by Texas Greenhouse. I found a local company to build that for us, and then I was farming myself, and then we got to hire our farmer, and now we have Ariel. She's been with us for years, and she sings to the plants, and we have like lights up at night, and it's really, really, really neat. But yeah, when you see, for me, it has never been about anything on paper. I have to like marinate in it. I have to see it. I have to feel it. I'm a maker. I'm an inventor. So it's like I have to try it, and that's been a philosophy of our company for a long time. I always say launch at 70%. It doesn't mean the product isn't done, but it means let the world help you finalize it. Does that make sense? And so I apply that to everything I do. I don't wait. I'm so impatient. I'm like, this needs to change. Well, I'm just going to go do it. Like, let's just rip that off. Let's take it. Let's cut it. Let's like, why are we waiting on this? There could be a retail store out here. Well, why don't we take this corner of the office and like test it? Let's get a little space going. We have tours coming in all the time. So it's like, I'm just never stopping. It's this quick thing. And our industry loves that. Hospitality in general, I don't know if you're familiar with, but it's like just the most warm, loving, kind, wonderful people of the world. They love anyone who's moving towards sustainability and happiness and positivity and giving back to the world. And so, I mean, that really has been our niche since we began. We were 80% or 90% wholesale when COVID hit. Yeah, 100, almost 100% wholesale as a business. And then COVID hit and we pivoted and now we're 50-50 and, much larger than we were then.
Have you, during that time, have you seen you mentioned how the wellness industry was receptive of how sustainable your products were. Has there been a shift towards people looking for that being almost like prioritizing or even a metric, a bar of entry that you have to show that you have some sort of at least awareness or effort
Yeah,
to be
there's
more sensitive?
there's actually been a lot of change in the industry. I don't know if you think back like 10 years. There was a big push for everyone to have certified organics, and that is very challenging. I think what the industry found is that the certifying bodies couldn't even keep up fast enough. And I can attest to that. We launched 7 products and won the favorite organic line in the industry through Day Spa magazine. And that process of making 7 products took 3 years. We launched 20 products a year today. That cycle can't happen fast enough, and it's almost like customers started not caring anymore. There's no regulation on the term organic, and we have very strong morals, and so for us, we're very honest. And so because we know that we need a combination of peptides, which are peptides and ceramides, and these are things that you would consider synthetic, but they're safe and they're oh my God, they're miraculous for skin. And because that's a small percentage in every formula, we would never be 100% organic. And I don't think our customer base would want us to be, because we bring such a beautiful effect to skin that changes confidence. And so that's kind of the path that we took. We actually publish. We're, I think, the only one in our industry that I've seen. We publish the percentage of naturally derived ingredients on the back of every jar or box. We call out whether it's vegan, gluten-free, what percentage of organic ingredients are in the product. And honestly, it's a lot of work. And we ask ourselves, do people really care? We do ask ourselves that a lot because, there's brands in the industry that can have organic in a logo and you don't think twice. You just like, okay, that's organic, but they're not. If you turn the ingredient deck around, you're by law, you have to call out what that ingredient is made of, and they might have one ingredient out of a whole list that's actually organic. So it's a tough thing. I think every industry probably struggles with something like this, where there's those of us that just are working so hard to be meticulous in what we're doing. And sometimes I think, God, was it that simple? Is that all I had to say? Was like, we combine nature and science. I mean, it's like if I find another company calling, we combine nature and science, it's like, my gosh, it's just so old. And yeah, but I don't know. I think it's kind of what makes us unique. We're just kind of drinking our own soup and doing our own thing and loving what we do and, staying really focused on what our customers ask for.
Well, and a
Yeah.
similar, thing that's become more popular with brands is showing that when you're purchasing a brand, that there is some sort of positive impact, that it's connected to an investment in some sort of other, related, impact initiative. But again, unique in the way that you tied that both directly to each product that consumers buy, but also to the work that you're doing on the farm. You touched a little bit on the animal rescue piece, but each had tracks through the codes on the bottles. And how does
Yeah.
that work exactly?
Yeah,
How
it's
did you
actually really
develop it?
complex. It's
Yeah.
funny because we have to have our accounting department sync up with our sanctuary team, which is working outside, and the veterinary bills that are coming in, and the work of the farriers that are coming in with their chaps and, and like, filing horse hooves and all that. We track meticulously every activity that happens. We serve 31,000 precision meals to today about 60 animals on the property that come in critical stage, and we're Global Federation verified. So we do just an amazing job. Our team does an amazing job. But yeah, so we getting all of that to marry up as a batch code comes out of a lab, so that when you type that batch code in, you're going to see we start tracking every activity that the percentage of that batch code is going toward, and it accumulates over time. So you kind of get to meet all of the animals, and people come to meet the animals, and it's an extraordinary process. I wanted so much for people to know it's not a fictitious thing. Your money is not going nowhere. Like when we get that money, we are actioning it immediately. And I also want them to care. Like you started with this statement about how children, when they can get that connection to nature, it is proven that in 75% of the cases of abuse in a home, it started with a dog or a cat or an animal. And there is so much great work going on now in different states, where they are, when someone calls in a hotline and says, hey, there's abuse in my home, I need help, they actually send in both animal welfare and people welfare. And they set up nonprofits that'll take the animals and the kids out of the home so that the person being abused can go get the help they need. I mean, it's beautiful. It's literally gives me goosebumps. And so what we really feel is so important. You wouldn't think hugging a donkey matters. It matters. It matters if children can grow up with that. And that's actually how we got our start. So, we used to gift these crazy lavish gifts like every industry does around the holiday, where you'll get like, towers of chocolate and stuff like that. And I looked at the bill one year on what we had mailed, and I was like, this is just dumb. We just spent $19,000. It was probably eaten within 30 minutes of it landing in these hotels. Like, what are we doing? Nobody needs more chocolate, and so we were, just like spitballing with one another. I'm like, what we could do with that? We could like buy every animal in the next 5 counties. Like, what are we doing? And we thought we should do that. Could we do that? Oh my God. So I walked down, I talked to Danny, who is the, director at Collin County, shelter. And I was like, could we do a deal with you? Like, could we get other shelters? Could you lower the adoption fee a little bit for us? But we'll also throw in like vaccines and microchipping and everything. And then we'll do all the marketing behind it. And we'll try to adopt out all the animals. So there were 5 organizations that came together. My team served hot chocolate outside. It was so cold. It was below zero. And, but we loved every minute of it. People lined up outside the building and we cleared all the shelters. And it just, like I said, like marinating in that, I think every person in our company was changed, infinitely changed. And that's so different from a hands-off approach, which could have been, should we donate, money to the shelter? That changes the shelter. But what changes the shelter and changes you is doing it yourself. It's all of us feeling it. And we get to do that every day, not just on our property, but with our customers who come to visit. And it feels like you're just igniting fire every time. And I get very emotional. I mean, people that come through, we all like cry together. It's like crazy, like what we're all doing, and to learn from them that then they go home and they do amazing things. They're inspired, and now they go to their shelter. And so we have a reward system on our website. So we actually give free product if you will message a senator, if you'll message a House of Representatives member on certain animal initiatives. We have customers that go to to our veterinarian or hospital locations to be with the animals when they get sick. It's a like really beautiful community, and I feel like every company should have it, no matter what your goal is. It could be kids, whatever that passion is. Like that's what keeps us human. It keeps us, thriving, and it keeps everything moving forward. And yeah.
I find it amazing that, we started talking of you bringing raccoons into your poor parents'
Yeah.
hats.
Now it's into my poor company.
Now you're bringing it into your poor company. But the other thing that jumped out, and I wanted to close with asking you, I love that thing you said about 70%, that, kind of go to market at 70%, if for a young entrepreneur, an inventor that's maybe right now painting their friend's fingernails or maybe graduated from college, what sort of advice, both from a business standpoint, but also in how well you've woven purpose and woven your concerns about the earth and animals into your business? What words of advice or about getting that courage to get that 70% out the door?
Yes. So first of all, I would say listen to no one around you. I mean, the reason that your parents aren't doing the entrepreneuring is because they're not entrepreneurs. So don't get advice there. Reach out to companies like me, find mentors, go to teachers, like shadow, offer your time. We have so many of our employees' children who come in and they will just help out on a Saturday or a Sunday. And whether it's unpaid or a little bit of pay, it allows you to be around people that fuel the soul. I mean, even at my age, I'm turning 51 this year. And it fuels my soul. I get to go to events like this. I mean, I just met an amazing fashion designer, and, a woman who's going to be running for Miss Texas is like, what is happening? Like, get out there and surround yourself with people who are like you, who love to create and make and do and move, because they're going to say, oh my God, let's do it. Let's do it this Saturday. They're not going to be the person like, oh, that's so hard. Why would you want to do that? Just don't do that. Just block all that out and honor that everyone has their own path, but your path needs to be lined with other people like you. And there's so many of us in business that want to help. Because that's where the future is. It's following people that can do things with their hands and that are makers and doers and shakers. And you get to build that. You get to build a company surrounded by people like that. I think if anyone walked into our company, you would feel exactly what I am saying and exuding from everyone that works there. They're just infinitely amazing, and they come to me with like, look what I did. I designed the barn where you're going to sleep. Isn't it beautiful? And it's like better than anything I ever could have imagined. For this telethon we have coming up. So it's just like, yeah, that's what I would say. Lean into it, grow it, do it, surround yourself with those people, and change the world. We need you. We desperately need you. Yeah.
Shannon, thank you so much. And thank you for watching. And if you want to join us for future Sustainable C-Suite receptions or other events that EarthX hosts throughout the year, go to earthx.org and sign up for our newsletter. And again, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
You.